So I don't know about you guys, but sucking at drawing, not the most fun experience. And frankly, I've been living in that. So today we're going to be taking step one to not sucking. That is working on what we suck at. And right now, it's kind of everything, if we're being honest here. But I'd say the main thing, if we look at the reference here, would be shallow water, right? I don't know why, but my monkey brain can't imagine what that looks like, even though I'm looking at it, you know what I mean? So today we're going to be doing some art studies here, using this reference on the left here as like the base photo. And then we stole some Sam Desart's pictures for water reference, because he's actually good at that. Crazy. I didn't know people could be, but you know, he's built different, I guess. So typically, when I'm doing this kind of stuff, or I'll actually pull up one of my recent ones here. So this one I just finished, because it was, again, the same thing of just like trying to get the fundamentals better, you know what I mean? Here was the reference. So I think I did all right on this one. Kind of biffed the background, but I got what I wanted to achieve, which was sucking a little bit less at drawing like I have no idea what type of clothing this is, but like the drippy clothing, you know what I mean? So I'd say consider that a success. And generally how I start with that, do my line art, or my line art if you even want to call it that, I just clean my sketch up. So this would be my sketch. And then you can see like I came over it a little bit here and there and kind of cleaned it up. But here'd be a rough version. This is what I started out with, right? Pretty rough, but obviously, you know, just getting some of the basic shapes in and all of that. And then we bump it up to just making a copy and cleaning it up, getting the details, making the whole thing make sense, basically. And then we go to base colors. You get the blush, you get the lips going on, you know, got the pinkness. And then there's like this face paint stuff. So another layer. Just because, especially because it would get in the way here. The paint here, it would get in the way with the blush. So then I made it a new layer. Normally I used to have like 300 layer drawings, and that got really old. So trying to minimize it here. I've found it was a lot more fun, and I actually end up drawing more because I'm not trying to find like this one dot in layer 257. So shading, I just use a multiply layer and just gray because it's really quick and easy. I wouldn't recommend using a multiply layer like only. It cuts down on the layers a ton, because now there's only what, 8 layers here instead of a shit ton. And then this is like, I don't even know what you'd call that, like slight highlight because of the gray in the background, who knows. Throw the eyes on top. Got some extra shading. You got the drip, okay? You got some of the little guys, little hairs, and you got the highlights, and you throw in the lazy background and call it good. So we're gonna be doing something pretty similar here. And I start out with, here's the whole thing. I just make a box, shrink her down, and we start throwing some shapes in, you know? Nothing too crazy about it. You're kind of just drawing girls, you know? And this is where you forget how to draw like all the basic shapes, and it looks really bad, which is kind of where we're at right now, if we're being honest. And I don't know why, but I just by reflex spin it, and I think it's just my 8 brain finding it funny, but it gets pretty old. So I'm gonna say generally, like, I focus on one part of the study. So I like to stylize some parts of it, and then take one for them, one for me, you know, one for the skill, one to have some fun. Because really that's all I'm here for, is to just have some fun. But this is more fun the better you are at it, and right now we're not good at it, so trying to solve that problem. I'm gonna be honest here, we're just gonna wipe that out real quick. That was looking rough. And I haven't drawn for a few days either, so I'll just use that as my excuse. And right now we're just trying to get like basic shapes. I try and stay pretty zoomed out and have a slightly larger brush just so I don't get too caught up in like if I were to, let's say right here, it's like, oh, you have to make the thighs the perfect shape. Well, it's like, oh, it doesn't even matter because there's going to be a skirt there, you know what I mean? So you kind of got to control how many details you have. Otherwise, you're going to be here for like 20 hours, you know, doing, and you're going to have a worse looking drawing too. And you're going to hate yourself. Not a good combo if you hear me, you know. Because I don't know about you guys, but I used to do like 30, 40, 50, 60 hour drawings, and they were like shit. Not a fan, because it would take like a month for a drawing. I'd be like, this week I'll draw an eye, and then I'll play Skyblock for 30 hours this week as well. So right here, I think this is about, generally, like I try and keep this level of detail, right? You can tell those are some foots. You got 2 of them, right amount, right? And we just kind of ignore it until it becomes a problem later, which it will, don't get me wrong, but like hands, call that a square, you know what I mean? I think that's, see, this is what I'm talking about, where the whole like I can't draw thing. Some of these, like I can't imagine a skirt for the life of me. That's like another, I'll call that side goal number 1, side quest 1 in this study here. Just try and figure out how skirts work. That's looking not good, but it's getting there. Yeah, so this is kind of where we're just going to be redoing this skirt for about 7 years, I think. Jesus. And this is why I chose a reference I knew I would have trouble with, because I know for a fact I can't draw skirts to save my life. And we're going to be doing the same thing that we're doing right now, just redoing the exact same thing about 90 times. When it comes to the water as well. Because, like, I don't know, because I can kind of get the really far off the distance ones. I kind of lock in a little bit here and there and knock those guys out, but the second you can see through it, I just can't. Right now, I can't, but that's what we're doing right now, is trying to fix that. This is gonna have to be okay. And normally, like, I drop drawings pretty easily. I don't really like redoing a sketch like a million times while I'm doing that. But if it's just like a drawing for fun or some fan art for like a VTuber or something, I don't really, I drop them pretty quick. Like, I think I drop like 2/3 of my drawings of the total ones. But when it's a study, I kind of have to force it, because literally the whole point of it is having something hard to draw, and then you learn from it. So to me, it seems kind of like a waste. If you just drop it right away, you know? Although there's a point where you're like, okay, my ape brain stopped working. I'm gonna go to the gym, hit chest, have a mean chest day, come back, and we'll just start a new file and forget all that happened, which is what I just did. Here's a sketch, and we just crank her. You know what I'm saying? So this is where, if you want to procrastinate, this is your spot right here, because then it looks like you did something, so you can kind of feel happy. I think we locked in. Never mind. I take that back. There we go. We got the bangers playing. Time to lock in real quick and pop this thing out. I normally like to have my stuff done in keep her in the lower amount of sittings, something like 1 or 2. Realistically, it's like at least 2 or 3 sittings. But if I get too much longer than that, it just like doesn't work. Like I kind of stop giving a shit. I don't know. It's like I lose what I was originally thinking of an idea, and then nothing's happening after that. Because there's been a lot of potential bangers that I've dropped. Because it's like, oh, I kind of lost what I was thinking, you know? Lost the idea. I don't think that's the worst thing in the world either, though. Just gotta be honest. Like, if you think you'll... Because I know for a fact if I try to finish those, the quality would suffer. And I'd rather drop a potential banger rather than put something out that's like not my best foot forward, you know? Because not every drawing will be a 10. But I think you need to have learned something in each one. Like this one, I'm going to try my best to make it a 10. And the best one I've ever made. But you also got to be realistic and be like, well, if it isn't, that's fine. But like I said, the goal of this one isn't to make a 10 drawing. It's to make water not look like shit. So if we make okay looking water, or for some reason I really lock in on the hair or something, like in the shading, and I like made a new method of shading hair, I'd consider that a win. You know, came out of the end of, it's a study, obviously. Came out of that, learning something, as you do in studies. I don't see a problem with that, you know. Because I think after a while, your just skill level will rise so much. If you like make it your goal, that's what I've been doing recently, is like making my goal with each drawing to learn something different with each one. And I've found pretty decent progress going on. We'll have to see at the end of the year for like a bigger time frame, obviously. But just in the last couple, I've seen maybe not the strongest drawings like as a whole, but pretty strong components. And if you keep on increasing your, at least this is how I'm thinking, kind of bro science here, but the way I'm thinking of it is like if you constantly improve a lot of the minor things, eventually it'll all come together and you'll have like a 10, you know what I'm saying? Because kind of the way I do it is like I look a couple drawings back. If I like what I did, that means I didn't get better, assuming it's something similar. So you gotta rethink and be like, okay, well, I'm mid right now. How do we become not that? And then also, this is completely unrelated to what I was just yapping about, but you may notice that I'm like, these aren't super detailed, like the shapes aren't. They're more basic, but that's where shading comes in. At least the way I've been doing it recently is trying to emphasize having some... I kind of yoinked this from Sam Does Arts, if I'm being honest here. But it's like you get the basic shapes down. Like solid, like you lock the hell in for these basic shapes. And then you can mess around with the shading a little bit more, because I find I have the most fun with shading, so usually it ends up looking better, you know. I also like having the lower pressure of a practice too. I think it's more like it like encourages experimentation a little bit more, because I find experimentation fun. Character kind of like blocked in here. Mainly just ease on my end, for like my brain to help separate what's the foreground, what's the background, all that stuff, you know. Time to just throw some base colors in on the background and call her good. And I'm not really trying to be too accurate here, color-wise. I'm just trying to get some rough values and stuff in, you know? It's like I kind of poke around and see, oh, okay, I like this grayish color for the rocks. I don't really know what I'm doing, though, to be honest right now. Especially this part right here. It's gonna be a trial by fire type situation, pretty quick. And this is, so this dark here, this dark color here, this stuff is the reflection in the water from the trees above. At least that's how I'm going to interpret it. So it should be across this entire, and this section would be the sun. And I feel like right now, the main issue isn't even like the shading. I think it like became too close. It looks like the try and show you. So it looks like to me that this part is like way too close to the character, and I feel like it should be more like here. There we go. I think it's getting there. See, because right now, I'm gonna be honest, I got absolutely no ideas on how I'm gonna do the water, right? And I don't like to render the character until I have the background mostly there. Just because there's so much stuff going on in the background that which can affect your character. I usually don't think it's like a good idea to. So really what I'm trying to do right now is get some of the baseline rocks here on the floor, and I'm going to be going over this later and trying to get like the top water like shine on, but kind of just experimenting here, trying out different things, seeing what works, what doesn't. Okay, I'm kind of liking this a little bit more now. I'm gonna try and keep it relatively simple, just because I feel like I kind of have a tendency to overcomplicate a lot of the shading, which kind of makes it look just messy and muddy, which we might end up there anyway, if we're being honest, but no harm in trying to not make it look like shit, you know? Kind of the whole goal. Yeah, I don't really have a process for painting water, so especially recently with all the water that I've done, it hasn't really been too successful, but it's been trying to find like a kind of consistent method, at least as like a baseline. Because, you know, for like shading, it's like, oh, you go base shading like we just did. It's like base color, base shading, and you just add more like levels, you know? But I don't really have anything like that for water, to be honest. So I'll probably end up doing quite a few more water practices. Whether I record them or not is a different thing, but definitely gonna be doing more of these just because you know how you can tell if you need something or not. You guys all have heads, so I'm sure you know the feeling. Right now I'm kind of messing with it, but something I can tell already is this section here. It's too dark. I like this part. I don't know what the hell is going on here. Liking it though. So I'm gonna try and simulate that down here in this section. Just bump up the contrast a bit, and then we can move on to here because this part's too dark as well. But here's okay, and this part right around there, that will have a reflection as well. So that'll cover. That's why I'm not really messing with the edge here that much, just because it's gonna get covered up anyway. And right now I'm thinking I might just start throwing some random colors in here, see what happens. I think that does the job about as good as it needs to. And I think the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to have the rocks go above the water here. And then I'll do the trees and stuff in the background here. And I'm thinking right here, how I'm going to plan this out, is these would be the darkest colors in each like tier, because that's at least how I imagine it, is like all the bushes and trees and stuff are in like different tiers based on how far away from you and like the size and all that. And that's just helped me differentiate and, make them actually look different. And we're not going to see like any of these being up, to be honest, so it's just, you'll just see hints of them here and there, and should help out a little bit. I'm going to kind of go away from the reference for a little bit and try and get some more color up in here. I just feel like it's looking kind of dead. Because I think the last one was like lacking the illusion of depth. And I think this idea might pan out like a better result. But, I mean, we'll have to see. See what happens here. Because I'm thinking that I did a drawing a while ago with Tanjiro, and that worked out pretty well. Similar idea. But also that background was a lot more blurred, It was not nearly the focus when that's literally the whole focus of this thing, so. See if it applies, might not, who knows. And I'm trying to keep these loose, because you're not, like, especially from my perspective, because I got a giant monitor in front of me. It's like this size, if you're looking at it on any reasonable device. Like on your phone or something, so you're not seeing any detail anyway past this. So there's no... You could theorize an idea, but it's just kind of a waste of time to get caught up in the really small details. Especially with something like this, where it's like... a lot of this is probably going to get covered up pretty soon anyway. So I don't really see the point. And now I think the goal for this section here will be adding just some of the smaller details, make it a little bit it's more interesting to look at generally. It's mainly the smaller details will be up front here, because you don't want too many back here, Otherwise, not like I have a really good thing going on right now, but like if you had it would kind of ruin your foreshadowing, or not your foreshadowing, foreshortening and stuff like that. Like just your sense of perspective would be kind of off if you know, it's all the same size, you know, like detail and all that. First step is going to be throwing a shadow under here, and then we're basically just going to pull down these colors, but in the line here. So we're pulling these ones this way, and then this one, it's kind of at a curve, but should, if all goes well, make a pretty decent like reflection. Okay, time to start take 2 of the reflections. Kind of biffed the last one, not gonna lie. So we will try something slightly different. The main reason I'm not just copying it and dragging it down, like just copying this section and just inverting it, is I don't think it really makes sense just with perspective, you know? Because the rocks, and then it goes like this, if we're looking at side profile. So it's like rocks, and then it's bushes. So the water, you'd only see that. And then you'd see the trees on top, which is kind of where my brain stops working. So we won't get too far with that. Okay, I think it's a little better than the last attempt at least, so we'll just roll with it. There we go. Kind of coming together. You have to squint a decent amount to, you know, really make it look like it's one whole piece, but that's a skill issue part. That's not really something we can fix right now, so. Because I don't know about you guys, but that definitely makes it look more like a reflection to me. I think we're getting there. A little bit. Would I call it my best work? Not necessarily. But, like I said earlier, that's not really always the goal. I didn't have like an aha moment or anything like that, but got some solid practice in, you know, gotta love it. Tell you what, I think that does the job. I kind of want to redo this section, so I might do that now, actually. Just give it a stronger shape. I think that's about as good as we're gonna get. I'll throw some tones at it. I don't know why, but I've been a really big fan of, I think they're called tones, but oh, they put in work. They've carried some drawings in the past, that's for sure. I'm basically just gonna go through here, clean up these shadows, these base shadows, and I'll get back to you when I'm done with that. And for this darkest layer of shadow, I've been tending to, or I've noticed that I tend to use it more as like a liner alternative. You know, just to get like the shape sharper, not even necessarily for shading. Like I'm using it a tiny bit here, and a little bit in the hair too. But like I don't even use it that much in shading. It's mainly just to help differentiate some some things that maybe got lost, you know, lost in the sauce. I think that's the finished thing. There we go. Okay, so a little reflection time here. I do think I achieved the goal. Actually, I wouldn't even say that. I think it holds its weight. I just think the main issue, if I were to point out the weakest parts, first of all, it doesn't really seem like a whole piece to me, right? Just immediately. I don't know if I think it's a mix of perspective and just shading. I think parts like this are relatively strong, like here, and I think this does the job. Even this whole section here, this bit, I don't think that's necessarily that bad. There's like choice elements, like here I think is pretty solid, not there, but here is pretty solid, this above area. I think my main issue comes with the difference in style, I would say. This wasn't on purpose, between the character and the background. And then here. If we bring over the reference, the original reference here, I think pretty solid. First of all, I wasn't able to get the rocks under the water here. I still don't know how I would do that, but that's just, we're going to be doing more water practices in the future, it looks like. So I would say weakest points would be just having the 3D element to the water. I do think that if you zoom out, the values hold. So I think the values are pretty solid. Like, you know, the character doesn't blend into the background or anything. I think that's it. I'll see you next time. Probably with another water study, if I'll be honest. Yeah, I'll see you.